Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us here on NTV Weekend Edition. On Talk of the Nation tonight, we just look at the different concerns that we have seen this week about regional trade, especially between Uganda and Kenya, and then also Uganda and South Sudan. These challenges of trade between Uganda and Kenya have also been reflected at the very local level, where many are struggling to walk away from the crisis caused by the COVID-19 lockdown. So tonight, we pick the thoughts of the Public Sector Foundation Uganda Acting Executive Director, Mr. Francis KISIRINYA. We want to understand from where he sits, how can the regional countries work together to see that we all better our businesses. A very good evening, Aunt. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Good evening.
When you look at the current trends, when we talk about regional trade, I'm sure you've seen reports where Kenya is stopping the importation of some of our products, and we are seeing complaints on the side of Ugandans when it gets to South Sudan about the instability. What are your thoughts in regards to how we're operating when it comes to regional trade?
Viewers, if I can take you back to our trade, external trade as Uganda, we can see very big advantages in regional trade. If you look at what we used to trade in, to export years ago, we used to export commodities, coffee, cotton, copper, and that was it. But regional trade gave us the other dimension of exporting manufactured goods. Now, where we are speaking right now, we have many manufactured goods that are being exported to regional countries. Milk, steel, plastics, sugar, and so many others. Now, the challenge that we're now facing is some of the neighbors who are actually very open to our products. I think we have earned our place in these markets by improving quality, by being competitive in terms of prices, and therefore we have a right to trade in these markets. Now, it's unfortunate that non-tariff barriers are being lifted to stop our trade. In some other countries, we are seeing issues of security. Now, all of this is uncalled for, because remember very well that countries that have developed themselves have developed out of trade. So as East Africans, as Africans, we have to trade with each other to create opportunities in our countries. Now, how should we do it? To begin with, let us look at the principles. Let us look at the protocols that we have signed. If you look at the East African Protocol, it allows free movement of goods and services. Let us live the spirit of allowing goods to move freely across borders. The second thing, let us work towards having peace. When we have peace, we shall have trade thriving, trade being able to flow, and our peoples will be the ones who will be benefiting. Now, these parochial feelings of superiority, of this is my market, are not taking us anywhere at all. And the Ugandans, for us, we've been through it. We accepted to be a market at the very beginning. It was a tough lesson. We organized ourselves, we built our capacity, and now are trading. So we can see the benefit. If you look at, for instance, the trade Uganda has with the East African community, in 1 year it was about almost $1.5 billion. That is a substantial amount of money. If you look at trade with the COMESA, at some stage it was 1.2 billion, but all of this is going up. So what we need to do as countries, understand each other, live with the protocols, and then if there are any disagreements, let us use the protocols to resolve those disagreements.
You do mention that as a country, Uganda, we've earned the right to trade, and you say we can now compete favorably. But we also know that Uganda is one of the East African, one of the countries in the region that have been adversely affected by the COVID-19 lockdown. Also, because the measures we put in place have lasted longer than other countries. When you look at the current trends, can we, once again, I want to ask this, can we compete favorably with other countries in the region? Are we there yet?
We are not there at all. We've had the longest shutdown, and we've had probably the least support in terms of stimulus packages by our various governments. But I've said, as I said earlier on, we've learned through the hard lessons. We are a very resilient economy. We are very resilient people. Now, as the country, yes, we've been in this lockdown for longer. We've learned a lot from it. Now, what we need to do is to now work on things that should take us back to normal operations. For instance, there are issues to do with vaccination. So today the vaccines are available. What we need is uptake. Now, I encourage all the business people around Uganda, make sure you are vaccinated. Make sure the people around you, people in your factories, people in your businesses, people around you, your friends, relatives, make sure everybody is vaccinated. When this happens, when the time comes in January, every part of the economy will be opened. That is the very first start towards recovering and competing back better compared to our other neighbors. Now, the second thing that we have to focus on is to look at how do we recover? What are those things that we should be working on? For instance, when businesses reopen, some have reopened, but others are going to reopen when in January. Let's look at the funding for these businesses. Let's look at opportunities that are available within the financial system to fund the recovery, to fund our new activities. We know there are challenges, yes. The cost of finance is still high. Access is still a challenge. But let us look at the opportunities that are there and we utilize them. Thirdly, let us look at what we are taking to the markets. What do the markets want? Is there anything that has changed which we need to incorporate within our products? For instance, we know very well that consumers are now very much concerned about the quality, the health and safety of their products. Are we demonstrating or are we able to show this within our manufacturing systems so that our consumers feel very comfortable about us? This is going to be very true for consumers, for instance, who are in Europe and the rest of the developing countries. They are very, very, very cautious about their health and safety. There is something new that is coming up that is about compliance or being supportive of sustainable development, compliance and helping in the climate change area. Is there a way we can build or differentiate products that can show that some of these products are compliant with the sustainability agenda of the world? There are going to be consumers there who will be looking at those particular products, and we can take advantage of these ourselves. So our country then and our businesses should be able, much as they have been the longest in this lockdown, when we take the right steps, we should be able to quickly recover and then compete better with the other economies.
Well, now that you speak about the different things that we should be doing currently in order to compete favorably, would like to pick your thoughts on the economic stimulus of businesses looking to boost their operations. What are your thoughts on the current packages that we have and those that we expect to have?
Yes, certainly we've had some stimulus packages that have come through, some in terms of policies, others in terms of real cash. But I'll talk about some that came through, for instance, in terms of repayment or payment of arrears that the government owed to the private sector. A substantial sum has been paid over the years, and even as we talk right now, I think government is prioritizing payment of arrears. This helps the business community get back cash and then it can use it in its businesses. We've seen recapitalization of Uganda Development Bank, and business people have accessed this money to expand their operations, and some of them to rebuild where they had got challenges from COVID. We also know that the Ministry of Finance and Government initiated what we call the Small Business Recovery Fund. Yes, this is something that has been discussed for some time, and it's not yet ready for implementation, but we were told the other day by the Permanent Secretary Minister of Finance that they have already released their part of the bargain. The 100 billion from the government has been released to the various participating banks. So we are waiting for the day when this package and this money will be available to be utilized by the private sector. So I request the members of the private sector, first of all, to be patient. This fund was initiated by government. It maybe had its procedures that needed to go through. Now, anytime when they announce, let us be ready and be able to partake of these particular resources
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Francis KISIRINYA. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and speaking to us in regards to the current issues that we're seeing of the regional trade and what businesses here in Uganda can be doing in order to boost their operations moving ahead. Thank you as well for joining us. We'll take a short break and NTV Weekend Edition will continue shortly.